The end of the baseball season is fast approaching, and with it, a new card setting season is upon us in MLB The Show. Prior to the postseason, the question now gets tougher with which wild card to choose in Set 4. My name is Kasami from Showzone, thanks for joining us here today. And with this new format of setting seasons, the deeper we get into the content cycle, the harder it is to choose which previous cards are the best options to plug in and play via a wild card. As we'll mention in a moment, there are some 99s that might be retiring in Set 2, but new varieties of the same player have already been teased to be brought back in Set 4, which makes the choices infinitely tougher. Some of these cards we've covered in our previous video from Set 1, but from Set 1 and 2 combined, there are 11 cards that are a meta overall score higher than a 107. You can see the list here below. In Set 3, there were 16 cards that were higher than a 107 alone, which means there are a lot of good cards that are still in the market that you can use for the next few months or so. The nice change about all of these 99s being made available in Set 3 is they aren't exclusively chase or set collection rewards. You do have a few diamond duos mixed in, as well as some team affinity rewards. On this list, there are only 2 pitchers that are higher than a 107, but their meta scores are typically a bit lower than position players. This includes chase reward Jacob deGrom, as well as the extreme program's Billy Wagner. However, if you're looking for starting pitching, a lot of the best cards that are in the meta and are available right now are from Set 3. You have Jacob deGrom, John Donaldson, Matt Cain's Perfect Game, and a few others seen here. There are only 3 pitchers in the top 10 that would crack the meta from Set 1 and 2, and those include Randy Johnson, Nolan Ryan, and Bob Gibson. If you look at MLB The Show's social channels, however, you'll see that there's a new Nolan Ryan card in his cowboy gear coming out that will be a 99 overall, so this kind of defeats the purpose of keeping around incognito Nolan Ryan and his 99 card. There are some options in this top 10 that are easily obtainable, such as John Donaldson, Matt Cain from the Extreme program, and Framber Valdez in Tops Now. It does take some resources to obtain some of these cards, such as collecting a small number of cards, but not nearly as much as you would expect. While there's a good abundance of starters in Set 3, there's a few less relievers because there's a ton of Set 2 choices that will be leaving the meta, such as Kenley Jansen, Mariano Rivera, Rob Dibble, and Felix Bautista. The best Set 3 meta cards would be Billy Wagner, Camilo Doval's All-Star Game card, and the new Diamond Duo's Trevor Rosenthal. It seems kind of silly to burn a wild card on a pitcher, but you may have some good options that are from Sets 1 and 2. These include Eric Gagne, who is still one of the highest rated cards in the game, as well as some hard throwers in Goose Gossage and Aroldis Chapman's Incognito card. As we move on to the position players, however, there are a lot of positions that have an abundance of talent, catcher being one of the main ones. Joe Mauer is still the top card in the game by meta overall score, but there's a ton of Set 3 heavy options, including Adley Rutschman, JT Realmuto, Mike Piazza, and Will Smith. You also have some cards that can be plugged in and played anywhere on the field, like Martin Dihigo, who can play all 9 positions and pitch. First base is another position that you can pretty much plug in anybody with max power, and the 2 top first basemen in the meta scores from all sets and seasons are from Set 3. This includes Home Run Derby Justin Morneau, who is available in a Diamond Duos pack, and the Home Run Derby Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So by and large, I probably wouldn't spend a wild card on a catcher or a first baseman, although if you really like Joe Mauer, he is a cheap chase pack reward at the current moment, way cheaper than a lot of the other cards that have come from these chase packs, so totally up to you. Year in and year out, second base is the toughest position to get a natural second baseman in, so right now, Javier Baez is the best second base option from Set 3, but he's incredibly tough to get from the event, especially all of those players that were locking him in for progress towards some of the programs, so that would be a tough card to have at the top of your lineup. Other Set 3 options include Ketel Marte, who can play pretty much anywhere but is still a primary second baseman, or Craig Biggio from the Number Retirement program. There are some pretty good second basemen that you can get from previous sets, like Kaiju Alfonso Soriano and Chase Utley. It is a bit easier to find somebody with a second base secondary position that you can put into your lineup, but it mostly just depends on if you want to incur the fielding penalty as a result. We've had some incredible third base options from the set collection rewards like Kaiju David Wright and Chipper Jones' Finest card, so those are some very viable options to place at that position. However, there is Jose Ramirez that you can get from collecting cards in the Team Affinity program, and a few other cards that the community collectively likes in Austin Riley and Rafael Devers. The position of shortstop's been incredibly well-rounded all year. We have a few chase pack rewards like Fernando Tatis from Set 1 and now Elly De La Cruz from Set 3. There's the core Derek Jeter that's an option, but that's not to say that Set 3 hasn't had some good shortstops. There's Jackie Robinson, who has a shortstop primary position, as well as Bo Bichette and Barry Larkin. Barry Larkin just seems to have a juiced card every single year, and his 99 from this year, the All-Star Game Barry Larkin, is no exception. In left field, the top 3 meta overall scores are all from set 3, which includes Corbin Carroll, Randy Arozarena, and Juan Soto. No sense really saving a left fielder from that standpoint. Center field has 4 viable options. It mostly just depends on if you've been playing the marketplace, if you play certain ranked or other modes that are competitive. For example, Mickey Mantle is the chase reward set with the best center field overall meta score. You have Home Run Derby Griffey if you've been lucky enough to complete the Extreme program. Otherwise, Buxton's World Series card mashes, and Granderson is there as a Diamond Duo cheap option if you're looking for somebody to hit the ball for you in center field. In right field, the top 3 meta scores all come from outside of set 3. You have Hank Aaron set collection reward, monthly awards Aaron Judge, and the core collection Sammy Sosa. So if you've completed the live series collection, you'll at least have that to begin set 3. However, Ronald Acuna Jr. from set 3 is the only natural right fielder by designation. There are a lot of outfielders you can place at left, center, or right field, but Ronald Acuna naturally is the only set 3 option that would really play into the meta for set 4. So going into set 4, I would say the weakest points from set 3 are right field, second base, and relievers and closers. Luckily, a lot of the top meta scores from set 1 and set 2 include right fielders, so that includes Hank Aaron, Aaron Judge, and Babe Ruth. The strongest positions in set 3 where you likely won't need too much help are third base, starting pitcher, and catcher. I say that knowing full well that there's some great options that you can use as a wild card from third base. That includes David Wright and Chipper Jones, and we'll get to that in just a second. But here is what I believe the best wildcard options in set 4, along with the criteria as to why. The top choice that you can pick for wildcard would be Mickey Mantle's Commerce Comet Chase Reward, which is the 3rd best card in the game, and you can plug him in at any outfield position. Mantle's power and speed is too hard to ignore, so even if you put him into right field or left field and incur a little bit of a defensive penalty, he's still going to play very well in your outfield. Coming in second place is Chipper Jones, who can play third base and shortstop. Again, I know there's a lot of third base options, but Chipper Jones is the 5th best card in the game and has one of the healthiest balances of contact, power, fielding, and speed in the game. In third place is Hank Aaron, the incognito version from the set collection rewards, which is the 9th best card in the game, and similar to Chipper Jones, excels all across the board in all categories, a 5-tool player, if you will. And we didn't talk much about him earlier in the video, but I would say your best starting pitcher option would be Randy Johnson for obvious reasons. He's the best non-set pitcher in the game and the 2nd best pitcher in the game currently. So those would be the best 4 I can recommend. From here, it kind of drops off based on how your team build currently plays. Babe Ruth is always going to be a viable option with 125 contact and power across the board. You can plug him in at right field, first base, or DH, but again, 20th best card in the game, and offensive ability is just as high as you can get, so Babe Ruth, you can't go wrong, of course. Alfonso Soriano is the best true second baseman in the game and can also play outfield, so again, one of those players that you can plug in different positions. Fernando Tatis, very similarly, can play shortstop and the outfield. He's one of the most versatile cards in the game, and his fielding and arm strength will really pay dividends in the outfield, even with the defensive penalty factored in. If this video came out a couple days ago, I would probably have told you Nolan Ryan would be the 2nd best non-set pitcher with his 99 incognito card, but we do know there's a Nolan Ryan coming out in set 4, so you can toss that out the window, or at the very least until you're able to get the new 99 from set 4. Or if you don't like Randy Johnson or Nolan Ryan, you give up too many walks or miss a lot of locations on pitches, you do still have Bob Gibson, who was a relatively obtainable boss reward from set 1. The last few options include Joe Mauer's Kaiju card, which is the best card in the game. Again, there's a lot of catchers in the meta currently for set 3, so that's more of a personal preference than anything, or if you're lucky enough to get the chase reward with Joe Mauer. And lastly would be Aaron Judge's monthly awards card, right field option. Again, right field options are kind of weak in set 3. He has max power. The biggest thing with him is his vision. Sometimes you can bat with players with low vision, other times it's a little bit based on their swing, so again, this is more of a personal preference. There are some players that do very well with Aaron Judge and others who go 1 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Now, there is one more card that I would highly recommend, and I haven't talked about to this point. And the reason for that is we don't really talk about captain's boosts on our website too often. It's just a really hard thing to implement. We're still working on it. but it's really hard to calculate, especially with some of the changes that are worked in mid-season. We've had a lot of captain boosts that have been adjusted midway through the content cycle. I know a lot of you watching are like captain's cards, but they're all 95 overall or less. Why wouldn't I want a God Squad of 99s on my team? Well, there is one captain that not only boosts all those 99 players, but plays pretty well himself. That card is 99 durability captain Cal Ripken Jr. from set 2. This is a card that will be going away as a part of set 4, but you could use your wild card on Cal Ripken Jr. to boost your team in sets 3 and 4. If you have the tier 3 Cal Ripken Jr. boost from this captain card, he will boost both sides of your contact, plus 10 against righties and plus 15 against lefties. There's also a plus 10 batting clutch feature, which again is for any time that you're batting with runners in scoring position. So that's somebody on second or third base. The last boost might seem a bit minimal, but can pay some dividends, especially if you're playing a lot of players in secondary positions, and that is plus 5 to fielding. If you have a God Squad team, more than likely you're going to have a lot of contact, power, and speed at the sacrifice a little bit of fielding. So having this Cal Ripken Jr. captain card will kind of get back some of those bonuses. They'll increase a lot more of the hitter's abilities, the ones that you have on the team, mostly for their hitting. As such, I would put this Cal Ripken card as one of the 5 or 6 best wildcard options that you can add to your team. Recently, his value has diminished a bit where you can get him for fairly cheap since there were some flash sales just a few weeks ago. And I know a lot of you have probably learned about this Cal Ripken Jr. captain's boost in that time. A lot of you might not have considered adding him as a wild card. If we go back to the list from earlier in the video, which is the best set 3 cards with a meta score of over 107, you might have noticed an asterisk next to each of them. These cards with the asterisk next to their name are all cards that would be boosted by Cal Ripken Jr.'s durability boost, which is 99 durability. That's half the cards on this list, and a couple of them wouldn't even matter because they're pitchers. So really, 8 out of the top 4 position players would be boosted by this. You could get a full lineup of these players at nearly every position. Some of these cards already have max contact and batting clutch, such as Jackie Robinson, but you still get a boost from fielding, which can be huge. And for other cards on this list, like Justin Morneau or Elly De La Cruz, where their focus is more on power, you can get some of that contact back and thereby increase the chances of a hard hit by increasing your PCI size. Just a quick little note, if you do decide to wildcard this Cal Ripken Jr. card, don't expect too many 99 durability cards going forward. We have noticed in the last few weeks, as the community's been collectively learning about this card, that some players have been getting 97 durability as opposed to the 99s that were handed out like candy earlier in the year. So the boost might not play very well into the middle or end of set 4, but it might be a good boost to give your squad right away to begin set 4. So those are our picks for the top wildcards to begin set 4. From the community, your guys' best choices were also Chipper Jones, this Cal Ripken captain card, and Mickey Mantle. Those were the 3 most common responses we got on our social media pages. If there's anybody else that you're saving, if there's somebody that we might have missed due to their ability, or if there's another card that you just so personally love the swing or just the abilities of that player, let us know in the comments section. Who are you saving for set 4 and who are you keeping on your squad to begin the new season? That'll be all for now. Best in show you can expect in the next week or so from set 1 and 2 if you're still grinding some team affinities from previous seasons and want to know what the best squads are. But this is Kasabi from Showzone signing off. We'll see you in set 4.